Well, this is peak level delusion right here. Vegan activists keep ignoring facts in favor of outrage, but they're finally getting called out. From Jesse Waters dismantling a clueless professor to Neil deGrasse Tyson exploring their flawed logic, we've got the best moments today, so buckle up because you're in for a treat.
How about this, though? You said we had 4 or 5 minutes, right?
Just keep it simple. How does eating meat make the genders unequal?
Eating meat holds a lot of symbolism, and it really is too much to explain in 4 minutes. But it has to do with the fact that our individual level decisions, the things we decide to do as individuals, what we consume, what we put on our bodies, the things we buy and put in our households, are fundamentally political acts.
Okay.
Right? The personal is political.
Okay. So I'm having a steak right now because I'm starving.
I hear you. I wish I could have half of that, but this doesn't look vegan.
That's a full-time college professor, by the way. Her name is Ax Delicio Parson, and she holds a PhD from Penn State. According to the CV on her website, she has been teaching in various roles since 2013. This goes to show how far our education system has really fallen. I have to agree with one thing, though. Eating meat does hold some symbolism, like when I dig into a juicy steak, it usually means 2 things. 1, I'm hungry, and 2, it tastes amazing. But her delusion didn't stop right there. She tried her guilt-tripping technique on Jesse, and here are the results.
That looks pretty good. That's a little rare, medium rare.
Yeah.
Is
got
this
some nice dead animal, dead cow hanging on your fork?
Is this bad that I'm eating meat?
If you go hunting, that's a totally different story, right? The blood's on your hands. Right now, you're kind of just enjoying the benefit and the blood's on someone else's hands, and that's not very fair.
What if they want to hunt meat, or what if they want to raise cattle?
Oh, totally, but the idea of killing and taking a life, that we should really deeply consider what that means for us as human beings. You know, people have said you should judge a society by how it treats their animals. And we, you know, it'd be great if we had universal health care for our animals.
Yes, we really went from people demanding universal health care to humans now pushing for universal health care for animals. And that quote she threw around actually comes from Gandhi. Maybe she should consider a second PhD in famous quotes before trying to sound deeply philosophical on TV. On a more serious note, one of the biggest flaws in the vegan activist mindset is how disconnected it is from basic nature. Animals just do eat other animals. It's been that way forever. Does that make lions or wolves morally corrupt? Of course not, but somehow when humans do it, we're suddenly monsters.
But what if you're just hungry and the animals are there for us to enjoy for dinner, for lunch,
'Cause God said so.
breakfast?
Did God tell you that?
Well, I mean, why would they taste so good if we weren't supposed to eat them?
Sugar tastes good.
Yeah, I eat sugar too.
Obesity, diabetes.
Well, I mean, I have some sugar, but
I mean, you clearly have a lot.
I don't just pour sugar down my throat.
You clearly have some things around like who you are that protect you, and like especially a lot of, I think, financial resources to like do things like buy really expensive steaks.
Okay.
So that's also part of the problem, is that some people are really taking up more than their fair share of, you know.
That's why I was calling her confused at the start of the video. She went through every activist checkbox. First it was feminism and fighting the patriarchy, then out of nowhere she took a sharp turn to veganism. Now she's turning things into class warfare, so drop a like if you think she's the final boss of the SJWs. What's even funnier is that none of her arguments made any sense. It's just her repeating random talking points without backing any of them up with any evidence. Next, we have Piers Morgan hosting the most famous Australian animal rights activist on his show, but things took an interesting turn when he brought up the example of a vegan going back to eating meat.
Yeah, and you know, Bear Grylls said recently I was a vegan quite a few years. He said, but I thought it was good for the environment, I thought it was good for my health, and through time and experience and knowledge and study, I realised I was wrong on both counts. It was bad for the environment, bad for his health.
He was never a vegan in the first place. Veganism is an ethical view against animal abuse and murder. If you're against animal abuse and murder, you never contribute to it again.
He wrote a vegan cookbook.
It wasn't actually a vegan cookbook. It contained animal abuse and murder.
So you're saying Bear Grylls was a fake vegan?
He never was a vegan.
He was a vegan?
No, absolutely.
You're saying he's a liar? He's not a liar.
No, well, I've looked at the cookbook
you may
and there
not
were
have
animal products.
You may not have liked the fact that he went back to eating meat, but he was a vegan for quite a while.
Well, people go by that label all the time, but if they actually truly hold their ethical view against animal abuse and murder, then they would never turn back on veganism.
To give a bit of context, Bear Grylls is a British adventurer and survival expert and has multiple shows of him surviving in the wilderness. During an interview with GQ, Bear revealed the switch happened after, quote, realizing we've had millions of years of evolution where we're designed to eat meat and milk and eggs. Adding, quote, it's made eating a lot more fun, and the best quote of my opinion, before I'd think, oh, I have to have a salad, it's a revolution to me. Nothing against salads, but some of them really look sad, so I completely get where he's coming from. Tommy Lahren was also a guest during this interview, and she jumped in with her 2 cents on the whole vegan fiasco.
You know, Tommy, over here, I railed against vegan sausage rolls. I didn't like the way they appropriated the language of meat products. I don't think vegan companies should be allowed to use words like sausage rolls or steaks, because that's meat.
Yeah, exactly. And they're filled with soy and fillers and other disgusting things that you actually don't want to put into your body. And meat tastes good. That's why all of these fake meat companies try to make it taste like meat. It never actually comes to fruition because it still tastes like crap. And I would also point out, during COVID, when we were having shortages in the grocery store, if you looked for meat, it was sometimes hard to find, at least here in the US. But that Beyond Meat crap, that was always available because people don't want it. The consumers are deciding that they want maybe an organic option, maybe a free range option, but people still want to eat meat. And you can eat meat and respect animals at the same time. It can be done. It's been done since the dawn of time.
But we are beyond meat now. We're going back to munching meat. I love meat. I won't be persuaded otherwise. And I think there are better tactics than running into restaurants and playing noises of screaming animals, personally.
It is kind of sad when you realize the only reasons these plant-based meats even exist is because they cater to a hyper-loud minority of activists who treat food like a form of protest. It's not about flavor, nutrition, or sustainability half the time. It's just about funneling their anger into something that feels like a moral win. Just think about the wording for a minute. Have you ever run into a meat-based plant, for example? You haven't, because it doesn't make any sense. And the same goes for what these companies are making. And to wrap things up, we have Neil deGrasse Tyson putting into perspective how aliens would view vegans if they were to ever visit our planet.
The ones who run into steakhouses playing sounds of cows being slaughtered, they're the ones that munch avocados and almonds, invariably.
Yeah, and by the way, and they are dining upon the reproductive organs of plants. That's kind of weird. And I imagine if a plant-based alien visited Earth, they would freak out when they saw vegetarians because the vegetarians would be eating them, right? And vegetarians target not only the reproductive organs, the nuts, the berries, the flowers, but they also target the infant versions of it. Baby lettuce, baby carrots, baby.
Oh my God.
This would terrify a plant-based alien. So that's just a cosmic perspective on that diet.
You have given me a whole new line of attack. The flower babies. I love it. This is fantastic.
Essentially, Neil just guilt-tripped the OG guilt trippers, and I'm here for it. I'd love to know which one of these moments was your favorite, though, so please let me know in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to see these amazing takedowns, please share the video with them. It helps a lot. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.